Hi, parents. Deacon John Wilson here, Education Enrichment Director for West Angeles Church. Here to talk to you today about something that's probably not talked about enough and should be, especially as an education enrichment program in the city. We should be talking about it, which is why you should vote in your local school board election. I would argue it's the most important election to you and your children and your family. But yet it's the election we vote the least in. I saw somewhere that in LA and Long Beach is hovering around 6 to 8% of all voters who voted even bothered to vote in the school board election. And then not to mention the people that don't vote in any election. So I think that we get the schools that we get and the content in the classroom that we get because we don't vote, parents. We don't vote in our school board elections. A lot of you feel, well, I'm in private school, it doesn't matter, but you should care about the level of quality of education in public high schools, even though you found a way out. But I still think that they know that we're not voting. Now, I'm going to tell you who they is in a minute, but it's pretty much a known fact that people don't vote in school board elections. And so that's why we get candidates that are propped up by teachers unions, right? The teacher union. Remember, I never said it's the teachers; it's the union leadership. It becomes politics to them. The people they want in are people who are going to give more salaries and more consideration and more power for their union. And sometimes they're forming alliances with the mayors and other people, even outside of state, even all the way up to federal government, that tells them who they should be supporting and who they should be pushing. And did you know that the school boards actually pick a lot of the candidates and go to them and tell them they should run? Not the school boards, the teachers unions. I'm sorry, the school boards do it too because they're pretty much candidates that are picked by the unions. But another constituency that we see is a lot of these school districts, because the school districts pretty much know that the source of their power is the school board, and the teachers unions are pushing the school boards. You should really study this issue. If that doesn't get you enough, it's something my wife brought up, and I hadn't thought about it this way. I guess I may have thought about it, but I never thought to articulate it like I do now. If you say, well, I'm not voting because they all look like the same to me, and you're probably right, because you read about these candidates, they do talk a lot about, right, school issues and school management and teachers' pay and teachers' issues. The school board people are running. They're talking about their alliances with politicians. How do you know? Because they're touting the endorsements of politicians and they're touting educators. And sure, these are impressive, I suppose, but none of them are talking about improving the lives of your children educationally. They don't talk about what parents want to hear. And parents want to hear about how are you going to teach my child math better because you're dealing with a bad teacher. How are you going to how am I going to get you to give them the right kind of homework? Why am I always coming up here and you can't control the class, or there's some issue with my student that I've told you how to handle that you haven't called me about? These are the things I hear. And why don't we see those being talked about in school board elections? Now, I supported up here in my school board district, Sharifa Batts, shout out to her. Because when she was running, when she announced her candidacy, she talked about her role as a parent, even though she's this awesome, I think she has a PhD or a higher education degree, but she didn't talk about that at all. She talked about parents, what parents need, how we could get their involvement in PTA meetings. Why aren't they coming? Let's find out what's going on. Let's go out in the community. She wanted to go out in the community and do things. This is the kind of candidate we need. Of course, she lost because nobody voted. Nobody came out to vote. Nobody would support her. The way it came out to vote was the problem. The turnout was so low. So when the turnout is low, the machine gets who it wants. The machine is meaning the teachers unions, the school districts, the superintendents, and the teachers to get who they want. They don't want parent-oriented school board members. Now, this wasn't enough proof for you that you should vote, and wasn't enough proof for you that of the fact that parents are aware they're not getting what they want. And that's what drove me to write this old article I saw, plus what my wife was telling me about. And I see there's a relationship here. There's something happening right now. You heard that LAUSD, 50,000, actually more than 50,000 students didn't show up the first day. And I hear from reliable sources, it got worse the last couple of days. But nobody is talking about that much. The media won't report it. But there's another aspect to this that I know we're all aware of, and that is pointed out in this article in the California Globe. Shout out to the California Globe. They have a lot of good articles about California issues. And this article is over a year old, almost a year old, excuse me, 2021. I don't know how I missed it. I guess I heard about it. But this is proof that parents, you know there's something wrong. But I need you to vote. I need these candidates to be afraid of what you're going to do. You say, well, this year won't make a difference. But if we start getting on that and then we're going to start organizing. I'm going to talk about that in subsequent months. We need to pressure these school boards to give us what our students need in the classroom. But this article right here is saying some parents just get up and leave. 160,000 students have left the public schools here in California. This is a pretty remarkable article. I'm going to put a link to it in the comments once I post this video. But California's experiencing a homeschool boom, it says. It's not just a result of school lockdowns during COVID. Some people say, oh, it's the lockdowns. No, that's what the Times was saying yesterday. The pandemic may have been the first time parents really and thoroughly saw what kids are being taught in public schools. And that's the issue. And many were shocked. Yikes. And then they go on to talk about the homeschool boom. But down here, I want you to look at this. Izumi says that the increase in numbers of minority parents who have decided to homeschool their children is noteworthy. Watch this. Among African Americans nationwide, the percentage homeschooling families skyrocketed from 3% to an amazing 16%. So see, Black parents are keenly aware of this. I'm gonna show you they're the group that's most aware, and it should be that way. Listen to this, parents, because our children have been the most adversely affected by these bad schools. Sorry, I had to get that out. And they're that way because we've allowed it. We've not voted in these school board elections and got involved in the issues in the ways that we should. Look at this chart below. I'm not going to read through it. This is some good information. You should read it. But this bar chart tells it all. Among whites, 5.7 to 9.7. That's a nice increase, almost, well, not quite double. It's about 80% increase, 90%. But then look at Black. 3.3% were homeschooling as of April 23rd to May 5th, 2020, right? But now look at right now. Look at September. Just in September, later in the year, 16.1%. Remember, this article is a year old. It's probably worse now. In fact, I've seen an article that says it's 19% now. That's a large chunk of the Black community that's not using the schools. We say homeschool, but that's not right. It's independent study. Some are using the 2-year colleges. Some of them are doing learning pods. They're going to private school, but they're leaving the public school. Well, I said private school, but I mean there's private homeschool or independent study that ones can use, okay? So this doesn't even count the ones that are moving to private high schools. There's a lot of them doing that, Black families. So you have all these Black families, and maybe you yourself are hearing this video and you're in that category where you've moved your child to an independent program. But are you voting in the election? You need to vote in your school board election. And then when you look at the two candidates, look at who's endorsing them. And the ones that has the most endorsements of union, right? The teachers union is probably the one you want to avoid, but also a lot of teachers organizations. These are all set up by the union. Sometimes a lot of politicians who supported certain candidates because they're getting their campaigns are funded by the unions. Then you might see one that has some common everyday people that are endorsing them. University administrators, psychologists, doctors, former trustees in colleges that are endorsing them. These are clues that sometimes a clergy, right? These are clues that these are people that care more about the students and your needs as a parent. Now you're going to get some elections where both of them are seemingly getting endorsements from unions and people like that. But there's always going to be one a little more than the other. You're always going to see that. So I want you to vote. Let me just summarize. Again, I'll put this article in the chat below, but I need you to think about your vote for school board. You have 2 months to think about it. I'll be talking more about it as we get closer to the elections and talking about specific school board elections. I'm gonna look through some of the information and using what I talked about in this video. All right, God bless you. I hope that helped, and I love you very much. If there's any way we at West Angeles can help you in the education enrichment program because you've chosen independent study or you haven't, and you think we can help you, we're starting our virtual homework club, and it will be in person, I'm praying, very shortly after. We want to work with your students. We're starting a Saturday school, a Saturday enrichment program. We're going to do some things on here I'm starting a podcast to push these issues. Feel free to like this video. If you like this video, please click like right down below, and please subscribe if you want to see more of this. This will help you to know what's working and not working here. God bless you. Bye-bye now.